Now for our next speaker.
I think we started getting like so focused on theater because we really realized how much it can be used as a tool for mindset change, like changing people's minds about sex work, about red light areas, about these girls.
डांस करने से मेरा थेरेपी जैसा बढ़ जाता है.
गाना गाती हूँ तो मैं शांत रह पाती हूँ.
मैं एक्टिंग इसलिए कर रही हूँ कि मुझे बहुत पसंद है.
The strength and the ability of human spirit to bounce back.
First third of your show crying.
I really admire you girls for the smile, the braveness to come out and say what has happened in our life.
उम्र हो जाते थे लोग को 50-60 रुपए में वो लोग काम करते हैं.
We could all, between us try to explain to them why they should change the way that they think or the way that they talk about themselves, or we can take on the task of changing the world's perspective, and that's what we've chosen to do. Survivors of trafficking that we meet in New York, and then there's these multi-million-dollar houses in Naperville, Illinois, and the world between those and the difference between those.
वही तो challenging था कि घर ढूंढना, because किसी को भी हमारे background के बारे में पता चलता है तो everyone avoid. क्यों हम normal जिंदगी नहीं जी सकते?
Sexually abused me when I was young. हर एक पल याद आ रहा था कि उसने कब मुझे किस जगह पर मारा.
मैं proudly बोलना चाहूँगी कि हाँ मैं रंडी की बेटी हूँ, but आज उसकी बेटी बहुत आगे बढ़ी है. मुस्कुराने की वजह.
There are some girls who we work with who really struggle with like depression, self-harm. Everything looks nice and pretty on a stage and beautiful in a play, but there's a lot of things that we really struggle with. And if those girls can just make it through life without committing suicide, or if they can just survive life and be happy and quit harming themselves, that's it.
Robin Chourasiya.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I think personally I have the best job in the world. I started Kranti along with 2 other people 7 years ago, and basically we work with teenage girls from Mumbai's red light areas to empower them to become agents of social change. So we work with 20 girls right now who are ages 13 to 22, and they're all survivors of trafficking, daughters of sex workers, or girls who are born and raised in the red light areas. This was just a quick video clip from a show that we did, which the girls wrote the play themselves and performed it. We traveled for 6 weeks in the US. We just actually did another show in this past summer. So from June until August, we were traveling in the UK and did about 45 shows across 15 different cities in 60 days. So it's quite a packed, packed event. But I am very briefly I've been doing this work for 7 years, and I'm very briefly just going to share with you guys the 3 biggest lessons I have learned in my life doing this work. I hope you guys are all ready to take notes. You've been given these little pieces of paper on your desk to take notes, right? The biggest lesson I've learned doing this work is the purpose of life. Can anyone tell me the purpose of life? No? No? Get out your notes, guys. I'm about to tell you the purpose of life. I think that the purpose of life is simply to seek and spread happiness. This is what we're all pursuing, and this is something that everyone in this room has in common with every single person out there on the street. You have it in common with every single sex worker. You have it in common with every single human being across the globe. Everything we do is in the pursuit of happiness. Whether it's coming to an event like this, whether it's spending time with their friends, whatever it is, it's in the pursuit of happiness, right? And I've been fortunate enough to learn this from a girl who is now 20. She came to Kranti 6 years ago because she had been trafficked at age 9. Her name is Pinky, and until she came to Kranti at 14, for those few years, all she knew was sleeping or being forced to sleep with at least 10 men a day. This girl now, she's been at Kranti 6 years. She still struggles with self-harm, with depression, with mood issues, things like that. But 90% of her day, when she's not struggling with those things, she spends 90% of her day laughing and making everyone around her laugh. And every time that I have a down moment or have like a struggling moment, I just look at her and I think, you know what, if she has enough reasons to laugh in life, we all do. And if she is able to make other people around her happy, that's something I can aspire to as well, right? And I think we all can, absolutely every single one of us. The second biggest lesson I've learned is about the definition of success. What is success? Success, we always teach our kids especially, is to have the best grades in school, to do really well so you can go to a good college so you can have a good job so you can have a big house so you can have nice cars, and phones and all of those things, right? I've also grown up in a very traditional Indian American family, but that was also my definition of success. Until I met Sheetal, who came to us at 17, and she had only been in 4th and 7th standard, and at the age of 13, she'd quit school in order to become a domestic worker, and she had to work all day until she was given her one meal at night. And Sheetal came to us never really having been in school, but we put her in 10th over and over, and she kept failing over and over. And finally, the therapist said, why are you forcing her to do something that doesn't make her feel successful? Why don't you let her do what's going to make her feel successful? And at the time, Sheetal was learning to play the drums. And she would come home from school crying every single day, but she would come home from drum class and bang on the floor with her sticks for like 3 hours until we take the sticks away. So finally, we said, let's let her pursue drums. We applied to every single music school in India. They said, she hasn't passed 10th, she doesn't speak English, she's never going to fit in, she's never going to be successful here. So then we kind of said, screw you, to India. We applied to several music schools in the UK and the US. She was accepted to every single one of them. She got a scholarship to a school in Washington, D.C. to spend 9 months there studying the drums, which is where she also started working with the djembe, the West African drums. She's been back in India a year and a half, and she basically works as a music therapist using the djembe to facilitate drum circles for children, of course, children of sex workers, but also children of migrant laborers, children from slums. And now, to me, the definition of success is the smile on Sheetal's face when she's playing the drums and the smile on the faces of all those kids who would never hold a drum if it wasn't for Sheetal. So what if she hasn't passed 10th standard? Does it really matter? How many smiles do we bring to people every day, despite having passed 10th and 12th and having all these degrees and master's degrees and PhDs, right? Having all those fancy cars, having all those nice houses. How many smiles do we bring to people every single day, right? And the third biggest lesson I've learned is how to live a meaningful life. We're all living, right? How many of us are living lives of meaning? I think that one of the biggest things that we struggle with, even as a country today, is defining all those things of success, forcing our kids to go on and do these things, but are they feeling like they're living a meaningful life? So I've been fortunate enough to learn this amazing, amazing lesson from sex workers that I've worked with the past few years. One person in particular who is the mother of 2 of our girls, and she was also trafficked at the age of 9, and she is somebody who spends all of her time and all of her money and all of her energy giving to people. And I've had the privilege of watching this woman over the past 5-6 years that I've known her. She goes to work every single day. I think we can all agree sex work is not the easiest job in the world, right? But she goes to work every single day because she wants to put her kids in English school, because she wants her kids to have a job besides sex work. She wants to see her kids be successful, But moreover, what really, really inspires me is that 2 years ago, when one of our other girls' mothers died, she didn't have any family. And there's a lot of people in the red light areas who pass away and they don't have families to pay for their cremation, burial, whatever it is. And this woman says, I'm going to go to work every day because it's my job to make sure that every single sex worker who dies in this community has a proper burial or a cremation. We think of ourselves as giving, right? When we give a couple of rupees here and we give a couple of rupees here, maybe donate a little bit to an NGO, right? I think it means to give, to go to work every single day as a sex worker, to pay for the cremations and burials of people you've never met in your life, right? And that, I think, she has brought meaning to her life just by the fact that she lives for other people. She does not live for herself. So, okay, you're probably all wondering what a woman with an American accent is doing in the red light areas of Mumbai, right? So part of, I think, this journey is not just about, as Sapna, the stories, also from Chicago, the stories that we've all been hearing and sharing. Nobody's exempt from anything. Nobody's exempt from discrimination. Nobody's exempt from abuse. Nobody's exempt from rape, right? None of us. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. I was privileged, I guess, to grow up in America, but in a very traditional household, as I said. Both of my parents had mental illnesses, and my earliest childhood memories are of my parents trying to burn each other with irons. And my mother had schizophrenia, has schizophrenia. My father was bipolar. And I think at a very young age, 9, 10, 11, because of the environment that I grew up in, I also was fortunate enough to start questioning these things. If we have a beautiful house, we have these 2, 3 cars in the garage, we have everything that we are told success comes from. Why are we not happy? Right? And I think that I was very, very lucky to be able to start asking these questions at a very young age. I also made some very stupid choices. I didn't go into corporate jobs, but I did go into the US military, even worse than a corporate job, of course. But I spent 7 years in the US Air Force and also was kicked out because I am lesbian. But one of my story was one of the biggest cases that really changed the law, called Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and eventually now gays and lesbians are allowed to openly serve in the military. But I think I was also fortunate enough that all of these experiences, whether it's abuse, whether it's rape, whatever it is, it drives you to go on and find something bigger, to find meaning in this experience. And I am fortunate enough that that somehow brought me to the red light area of Mumbai, where I was so incredibly privileged to meet such incredible people and be on these journeys, whether it's through theater. Just a special shout out to Miss Jo over here in the front. She was the one who has done all the theater work with the kids for the past 3-4 years, the US trip and the UK trip as well. And we've just been so incredibly privileged, I think, to have these amazing experiences where, for the girls, growing up in these places where discrimination and abuse and all of these things are so much the norm of their lives, to be able to go on tour around the world, right? And we've just had so many incredible experiences. Just one example that I'll give is in the UK, we traveled to 15 different cities, and in Dublin, we had no housing. We had no place to stay. And 2 nights before we were supposed to reach Dublin, I was writing the homeless shelters, I was writing the refugee center, saying, can we please come stay with these 15, a group of 20 women. And finally, this sex worker who'd been in contact with us, she messages me and says, I think I can fit 10 people on my floor. And I said, lady, you're white. If you think you can fit 10, I can fit 20. So we went, and all 20 of us stayed with this sex worker, in her house, made lots of dal chawal and ate that every single day. But the really incredible part was that she, as a sex worker, would also bring her friends over, who were all sex workers. The amount of dialogue that happened between the kids and between all these women, it's just always been such an incredible journey that I think we're all, no matter where we come from and no matter where we end up, all really fortunate to be able to have these amazing teachers and people, whether it's sex workers, whether it's their kids, whoever those teachers are in your life, right? So just very shortly, I would like to encourage all of you to take the time today, if you have the time, maybe tomorrow, to sit and think about what you're doing to seek and spread happiness, how you're going to redefine success for yourself and for everyone around you, and what you can do to bring meaning and smiles to the faces of everyone around you. Thank you.
Wow. Robin, thank you so much. That was indeed inspiring and heartrending, and has definitely changed my perspective of how to view life.